Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Riverfront. This is episode number 432 of this podcast that we have done 432 times. Good grief. I'm Chad Dotson, back again to talk about this, the greatest baseball team in the history of, I can't even do it. Nate's with us. Nate, how are you?
Chad, Chris, I am great. It's against all odds, and despite all the evidence, it's great to be here talking baseball with you guys. I do enjoy this, even though it seems like people are conspiring to take that joy away from me. But hey, glad to be here.
He says people conspiring. He's talking about me. Also with us back again, Chris Garber. How are you, Chris? Chris?
So I'm supposed to unmute when I come on the air.
Oh,
That's the idea.
Professional.
There we go.
Anyway, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm not watching the Cincinnati Reds all that much, so I'm doing well.
So you are doing well.
it's nice to get some fresh eyes on the perspective here.
Tell me about this team, boys.
The
Tell me about
Cincinnati
your favorite
Reds.
baseball team.
Well, they've lost 7-9. The Reds, let's just dig through what they did in the last week. They, of course, played the Braves and the Mets. Lost 2 out of 3 to the Atlanta Braves. Lost 2 out of 3 against the Mets. And lost the first game. We're recording this on Thursday. Obviously, they lost the first game of a doubleheader today, evidently, when I forgot the Reds were playing and got a notification on my phone that they had already lost. I didn't even know they were playing.
They've already
so that's always
lost.
exciting. So what do you think, guys? Lost 7-9?
Yeah, lost 5 of 7 since the last time we got together. The Braves, losing 2 out of 3. Whatever, they're good. Losing 2 out of 3 to the Mets. That'll happen.
I just checked the Reds website to see about this Pirates game you just mentioned, and it just says Reds look to rebound. Jeff Hoffman takes the mound. It's like, well, you can look all you want, but I'm not sure that's the answer.
What was funny is, yes, Jeffrey Hoffman is starting game number 2 of the doubleheader against the Pirates today. But between games, they talked to David Bell after the Reds lost the first one. And the question was asked, David Bell, manager of a professional sports franchise, who is going to be your starting pitcher in game 2 of this doubleheader today in the middle of July in a season of a professional sports league? Yeah, I don't know who's starting. We don't know. In between games, they didn't know who was going to start. They ultimately decided on Jeff Hoffman. How does a team, first of all, now Aramis Garcia, who is barely a major league catcher, is on the injured list. They have no major league catchers now, literally no major league catchers on the roster. And they can't even they don't have enough starting pitchers that we're early July. Why is this driving me so insane? I guess maybe it's the better question.
They've got this 40-man roster, and it's obvious the team is no good, right? We've established that the 2022 Reds are terrible. But in all that mess of junk, like this junk drawer of a baseball team, they can't find a rubber band of a catcher and a paper clip of a guy who can start a game on a doubleheader. Like, it's all erasers and thumbtacks in there.
It's really, yes, they're bad. We knew they were going to be bad. They're worse than we thought they were going to be. Worst first half of a season since 1934, evidently, which that's even before my time.
It's
we knew they were going to be bad, but these things like we don't have enough pitchers and we don't have enough catchers. This is the stuff that just wears me out because this is supposed to be a professional franchise. And while we try to laugh about it and joke around every week, it's malpractice. And it's Nate, bring us back from the brink here.
Well, we got a lot of baseball ahead of us here.
Nate, that's not reassuring.
Well, you have to find something
It's
to
not
root
a selling
for.
point, Nate. That's
you
a
have
threat.
to find something to root for. And I dove through the data and I found something that we can rally behind for the rest of this season. The Reds were playing a better brand of baseball for a little while there. They kind of fooled us into thinking they might be competent. But since then, it's been mostly bad. And I got to say, the 1982 Reds record of 61 and 101 is back in play. We could go for worst Reds team of all time. And you know what? If you're going to cheer for something, be legendary. Be great. Dare to be great.
You got to cheer for something, and it's going to be Donovan Solano.
Donovan Solano hit a home run today, Garber. How dare you?
Yeah,
Evidently,
it's going to
I
be
checked the box score.
I mean, it's time to open up the books and redo the Big 50, I guess.
Just take chapters out. Don't edit anything. Just remove some chapters.
This team
42.
no longer deserves 50.
The big 16.
43.
David Bell kind of looked like a hostage victim in that post-game presser. He was struggling so hard to try to make, put a positive twist on it. Did you hear him say, it's kind of fun. Like, it's a challenge to figure this whole thing out.
Well, it's another weird way. Getting
better in a really weird way.
They also brought up Robert Duggar, assuming, to participate in this game.
Is that a person?
Why not start him over Jeffrey Hoffman?
Well, first of all, because he's Robert Duggar.
Jeffrey
I
Hoffman.
think I went to jail.
I think that's a different Duggar, I think. I don't know. Maybe they weren't sure he was going to make it to Cincinnati in time. I don't know. They just called him up. I don't know what this team's doing. This team doesn't know what they're doing.
You guys, I'm just looking at this Reds roster for the first time in a long time, and the obscure former Reds account is going to just go ape. There's a guy named Mike Papierski.
That's one of the supposed major league catchers. Yes, Chris has been on vacation, and he's missed the entire Mike, however you pronounce the name, Papierski era. He's missed the entire.
Ian Gibbo,
Gibbo, I think.
Gibbo
had a good outing in game one. He's another hefty boy. I'm rooting for the hefty boys this season.
He's a big old boy.
They still have Hunter Strickland and Russ Detweiler.
Yeah,
Hunter Strickland's the closer now.
I'm like Red Van Winkle right now. I'm just like amazed that all these guys are still on the team.
Yeah, Hunter Strickland has been named the Reds closer, like not just de facto. He's like, no, you've got the role. You've earned it.
Well, and I think he's blown a save every outing since that he was named closer. It's exciting to watch. Oh, mercy.
Who cares about naming closers now? Just fantasy people?
Probably. And Rosel Iglesias. He may throw sunflower seeds if you don't name him closer.
I'm sorry. This is brutal.
That David Bell video, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, because it is it is kind of a hostage video. And he's like, I don't know, we're going to try to make things happen, whatever. But I feel bad for the guy. He's not a good manager. I think what's clear at this point, he's not a good manager. But my goodness, he has been given nothing to work with. People scream at him still every night when he puts in, Hunter Strickland. I mean, what's he going to do? So, but I don't know. I feel bad for the guy in some ways, but on the other hand, you taking their money, you got to deal with deal with this nonsense.
I mean, I'm coming off of I'm literally out of the mountains to learn all this, but has the front office even tried to explain or rationalize their utter failure to supply David Bell with Major League Baseball players?
Rationalize to who?
What?
Who are they going to try to rationalize it to?
Well, every now and then Nick Kroll, Nick Kroll's good at talking. So sometimes he comes out and talks.
Yeah, but no one's asking those questions.
Yeah, right. Where are they going to go?
He hasn't come out and done much bad talking lately. Everybody's just kind of hiding.
He's been hiding, yeah.
It is what it is, right? I mean, the attendance is down. The team stinks. And apathy is set in. Tune in next episode for the Riverfront.
Boy, we're not. Yeah, if people are still listening now or still tuned in, you're the diehards, and we would love you. There were a couple of good things that happened over the last week, so let's talk about that. First of all, Luis Castillo, just a gorgeous game. The Reds were getting no hit, and this was against Atlanta, I believe, last Saturday, and Luis Castillo dueled him. every step of the way, 7 innings, 1 earned run, struck out 6, walked 1. He's looking fantastic. Hunter Strickland picked up the win there in that game after he blew the save, and vultured that win from Luis Castillo. But Luis Castillo is great. This, I guess that's a good thing if we're looking for good things.
He's been better than great. I think you might be right about Castillo being the Reds representative in the All-Star game. He's kind of been on even a tear even for him. Got his ERA down to 3.09, already 2.1 wins above replacement. I was looking at some of the projections for him, and I know Zips gets weird, but he's projected to have a 3.7 or below for the next 3 years. I think I'm fully on the keep Castillo and see if you can't lock him up for a few years train.
I think what they should do is sign him to a contract for at least the next 3 or 4 years to a lot of money. That way, when the Reds suck every year, the fans will start blaming him instead of Votto.
Is it possible for the Reds to sign Castillo to a contract and then loan him out to a better team so that he doesn't have to suffer through this for the next 2 or 3 years? And then, when the rebuild's over and the Reds are good again, they can have him come back?
It's the European football model.
Yeah. Let's just
loan a guy out. Send him out for a loan spell to Aston Villa.
That'll work.
Queens Park Rangers. I don't know.
So who is he going to play for in September?
Is he going to be traded? I mean, do we think that? Are we there?
I think everyone's going to be traded, even Donovan Solano.
I'm not
even
sure.
Donovan
Let me tell you
Solano?
why. I hope not. The Donovan Solano era just started. I don't want to be over so quickly. I don't know. The more I think about this, and we talked about it a little bit last week, but I'm not sure because given what happened in the offseason, the Reds panicked and went out and signed Mike Minor and Tommy Pham because the fans were mad, and the fans are really mad now. Are they going to either go all in and say, well, nobody's coming to the games anyway, so let's just go all in and trade these guys? Or are they going to – who knows? I just don't have any clue what this incompetent front office is going to do. It's really amazing.
Yeah, our buddy Joe Farfsing, one of our loyal patrons, which you can also be by going to patreon.com/riverfrontcincy, be a part of the family, blah, blah, blah. Joe is the first person to kind of throw this theory out there, and I thought it was very, very Reds-esque. They will not do something that might actually benefit the team because they're worried about the fan and media backlash with their already dwindling attendance. That would just be the most Nick Krall-Castellini situation that I can imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. Chad's ultimately right in calling them incompetent, and there's just no rhyme or reason. Obviously, they had 2 different strategies that were in conflict last offseason. So, for all I know, they're going to trade for Archie Bradley in the next 3 weeks.
Archie Bradley's hurt. We better not trade for – well, they might.
Yeah.
Why not? Get him cheap.
You were on vacation. Did you see Archie Bradley getting hurt?
Did he get hurt in a fight?
Well, kind
Sort
of. What happened, Nate?
He was trying to exit the dugout and get to the fight, fell over the rail and hurt his elbow.
Oh, man. It's amazing. I just, at this point, I don't know what the Reds are going to do. I mean, if there's a real strategy in place to really rebuild this franchise, then it makes sense to trade Castillo because he has more value than anyone else you've got. Maybe not more than Hunter Green or one of those guys, but he's a real asset, so it makes sense to trade him. But because we saw last time with the Cuetos and all those, they didn't trade him, waited too long to trade him, and ended up getting nothing for them. But on the other hand, I would just want him to hang on to Castillo because I like him, because I have no faith that they're going to get real value for him or that it's going to lead to something better down the road. I'd rather just watch him pitch for the next, next year and a half, because I have no confidence that they're going to turn him into something that's going to make this organization better. I'm that jaded. I'm a jaded Reds fan.
Yeah, pretty fair. They, us Reds, interweb people love throwing out our theories and our ideas of who the Reds are going to get and what they're doing and when they're going to be good again. We still haven't heard a peep from the front office about anything. We always say, 2024, the Reds are going to be good. I've never heard anybody in the Reds front office say that that's the plan, is to compete in 2024. Like they're just keep going on. We're getting better. We like these guys. These are our guys. We got them because they're good.
Well,
It's disgusting.
Tommy Pham says it right there.
Just a couple guys away.
Yeah, they're right there. I did a spot on WLW earlier this week, and that's what I said. Look, if they just would tell us what the plan is, maybe I'd buy into it. I mean, probably not, because I don't trust any of them. But if they would just lay out for someone the plan, but is there any heat on any of these guys in the front office? I mean, I think David Bell's there just because he's the guy that they're paying. Nick Kral's there just because they don't want to pay someone else. I mean, it's I don't know that they're the most poorly run franchise in sports. That's probably not true, but man, they're up there.
And they're just turtled up now from a public relations standpoint, right? They're just in that defensive crouch and not even trying to defend or excuse anything. They're just eating it.
Just hibernating for the summer. That's how it's supposed to go.
Well, now that school's out and the attendance is up.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We'll talk more about attendance in a moment. There was another good thing. Lodolo came back. He returned and pitched against the Mets. Had a really good start in a game that the Reds won 1-0.
He looked sharp too, didn't he?
He looked sharp. He didn't quite go 5 innings, but only gave 3 hits, struck out 8. Just looked really good. So I mean, that's a good thing, I guess. I don't know. We're reaching here, but here's what. Go ahead, Nate.
I'll say we can all agree that even as frustrating as the season's been so far, like we've got the young arms. That's almost the only thing we have. So I'm gonna get pumped. Lodolo comes back. He gets compared to Verlander by some people, Randy Johnson by Buck Showalter. Like it was pretty fun.
Yeah, no, he's talented, and Hunter Green's talented, and Graham Ashcraft had a good bounce back start after Nate jinxed him last week. So I mean, all that's good.
This is gonna be a tough one.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm trying.
Here, I'll tell you something good. My son, as I mentioned last week, went to with his buddies to Great American Ballpark last Saturday. And they sat out in the bleachers in left field, and they got a little rowdy, evidently. And they were being loud in making comments in the general direction of Tommy Pham.
They get slapped?
Well, one of my son's buddies was constantly saying, Jock Peterson has 3 hits today. Where are you? Things like that, updating what's going on with Jock Peterson. And evidently my son says that some security was sent down there to calm things down at one point because Pham was giving him a mean mug, I guess. I don't know. They were having a good time, so good for them. I don't know. I haven't had a good time at Great America.
Good time.
They did. It was 100 degrees, and they burned up. But it's always a good time at the old ball yard, right?
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Haven't been in a while.
Yeah, me either. All right, so Jonathan India hurt his left ankle again, but I guess he came back. I think he had a double in their game earlier today. That's something.
Yeah, a couple
Tyler
hits.
Malley's. What's that?
2 hits. 2 hits in game 1 today.
That's good, man. We probably should talk about it just very briefly. Jonathan India has been bad. He's been really bad. I'm not sure we need to analyze it any more than that.
He'll be a good Yankee.
Come on.
He and Luis Castillo.
They packaged Castillo and India along with Mike Moustakas to get rid of that contract. I lost you, Chad.
I was trying to talk with my mic muted again. This is This is the most amateurish podcast, and I apologize to everyone. This is horrific. So Tyler Stevenson's back is what I was trying to say, or he will be back. He's on his rehab assignment, supposed to be back Saturday or Sunday. I guess that's good because we like watching him play.
It might be nice to have him on the big league roster.
No, let's let him have a couple more games in Louisville. We don't need him. Nick Senzel.
Don't rush it.
Don't rush it, right? There's no reason to rush it. Nick Senzel, I've got to say, 2 weeks ago, I was unkind to Nick Senzel. He's now played 13 games since then. He has reached base in all 13 of those games.
Oh.
He has hits in 12 of the 13. He's batting .442 in that span, .489 on base, .605 slugging, a couple homers, a double. Nick Senzel is back. I mean, actually, he's here for the first time.
Yeah,
Nick Senzel. Chris,
let's not even talk about it. Let's keep him buried. Keep him buried.
That's right. I give up on it.
Whatever.
Chris, aren't you excited to get back from vacation and find out that Nick Senzel's good now?
All I know is I saw him running the bases like a nincompoop.
Oh my gosh!
Listen, give the guy a break. He doesn't know what to do on the bases. He has not been on the
He
bases
did go the right
in
direction.
like 3 years.
He did go counterclockwise, which was a good start.
He's out of practice.
Getting excited,
yeah.
getting jazzed up out there.
He got on base 3 times in the final game of the Mets series and thrown out on the bases twice. It was not good. It was just not good. One time, as Mike, how do you pronounce his name? Papierski. He was trying to bunt for some reason. Papierski, Mike Papierski. And Senzel was leaning too hard off second base, and the catcher threw. I mean, it's not good. But wait a minute, Nick Senzel's good now. .442 average over the last 13 games. It's official. He's good.
This is what stinks about this team is they're so sorry, and they've got such a jumble of misfit toys on this roster that I'm not going to believe anything that I see this year. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the pitchers, okay, maybe, but I don't believe Brandon Drury is an all-star level infielder. I'm not going to believe anything I see out of Senzel. If I haven't seen it before 2022, I'm going to have to see it again next year to believe it. I don't know why that is. I think it's just the whole thing. Like they're so clearly not trying that I just don't believe anything I see.
You guys are getting.
You don't even believe Brandon Drury?
I don't believe Brandon Drury. I don't believe Scott.
Brandon
Schebler,
Drury's been good.
There?
Come on. Brandon Drury has been very good.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I give no credit. I get no enjoyment out of anybody being very good on a team that's going to lose 115 games. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I can't take the silver lining that Donovan Solano hit a home run. Like, it just isn't enough. So I'm looking at everything through a lens of, are these guys going to be good in some future day when the Reds decide to try and have a front office who's not a bunch of loons who are able to let them try? And I mean, I probably should be looking at like Joey Votto Jr. for this, but that's kind of that. So that's why I can't get excited about anything. Anybody who's playing well now won't be here when they're good again.
These are the conversations we had, if you'll recall, Chris, right here in 2014 and 15. It's like the whole you're just looking at which of these guys are going to be on the next good Reds team, and it's not Brandon Drury's not going to be here on the next good Reds team. I'm glad he's having a good season, but he's not going to be here. The Kyle Farmer's not going to be here on the next good Reds team. Which guys have a chance to be here? There are very few of them. Not Matt Reynolds, not Albert Almora.
It's 2015. We're like, oh, Todd Frazier is great. Guess what? Todd Frazier's 29. They had Marlon Byrd on that team. Brandon Phillips on that team.
Gross.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, listen, I agree with what you're saying. It's tough because I don't know. I watch this stupid game just about every night, and I'm like, I hope they win. It's on my screen, and I'd rather them win, even though I don't care anything about Matt Reynolds or Donovan Solano.
Matt Reynolds.
But I don't know. Maybe we just need to go all in and hope for that 115 losses. Maybe that's the enjoyment we can get out of this. But the number of guys, I mean, if you look at this roster, and Nate, I'll ask you, how many of these guys have a legitimate chance of being around for the next good Reds team?
On the offensive side,
many,
probably 3, maybe 4 if you have a utility guy in there.
At
the big league roster, India, Stevenson, and Senzel, if he can sustain any sort of just decency. We don't even need him to be great.
He's young enough to have
point.
A chance.
If he can have a 750 to 800 OPS and play elite defensive center field, we'll take it. As long as he quits trying to steal bases. But yeah, I mean that's it, and we don't have any guarantees there. Tyler Stevenson has been beat up, often fluky, but still it's happening. Jonathan India has only been good once, and we think he's going to be great, but he's been really, really bad this year in a limited sample size. We can get as excited as we want to. We can start pushing the focusing the binoculars on 2024, but there is very little guaranteed success in the system anywhere.
I mean, when you look at this, there are 2 players under the age of 27 who've gotten any kind of at-bats for I guess 3. TJ Friedel got some at-bats, age 26, was terrible. I mean, it's Stevenson and India and a bunch of dreck.
Well, that's the thing is that there's some really good young arms, that we can project. But on the offensive side of the ball, they have I think the 3rd oldest offensive side of the ledger of any team in baseball. And this is a rebuilding, quote unquote, rebuilding team? I don't know. There's enough pieces, AA, AAA, and young pieces in the major leagues. If you had a Theo Epstein or a Billy Bean or somebody that knew what they were doing, you could see, in a couple of years, they really could build around this core and put together a good team. Nick Krall, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Here's Nick Krall. Well, go ahead.
Good. No, I was just going to make a Jake Fraley joke.
Oh, please do.
When we get Fraley back.
Yeah, well, that'd be perfect. I did. What's Nick Krall's job? To get players for the major league roster, right? Nick Krall somehow. I mean, this is really impressive if you think about it. Remember last year's bullpen? Worst bullpen in the history of the organization. He turned over the entire bullpen, and they got worse somehow. I mean, that's really impressive. I don't know how you make that bullpen even worse, but they are legitimate. It's all new guys, and they're even worse. It's again, if you're looking for reasons to be excited, man, that's it right there. Just watching the dazzling display of incompetence from Nick Krall, it's fun to watch. It's like watching a 10U player trying to play college baseball. He's out of his depth.
Oh my gosh, what a bunch of.
You guys are killing me.
Sorry, Nate. We're harshing your mellow. I know. Oh, man. It's just been one of those weeks.
Did you see that Graham Ashcraft seems to have gotten a haircut? So I'm interested to see what that looks like underneath the cap. Kept it long in the back. Maybe a little business in the front, party in the back situation. I mean, if you can't root for that, then I don't even know why you're watching at this point.
I need to tell my son about that because he and his whole baseball team did that. Got the mullets before the district tournament. That didn't work out so well. Tyler Mahle shoulder strain, they say, but they say he'll be back after the All-Star break. That's good, I guess. Gosh, let's talk about the attendance again, because that's what I wrote about this week at the magazine. And if you watched any of these games over the last week or last couple of weeks, years ago I decided I'm never going back to Great American when the Cubs are in town because it's just blue shirts everywhere, and I can't deal with it. And unlike someone here on the show, I don't have a son that wants to see the Cubs. So, but I'm watching the Braves and the Mets, especially that Braves series over July 4th weekend. And the place is packed with Braves fans. I've never seen anything like that. It's, the percentage of Reds fans that are actually in the stand are fewer than I ever remember. And so I went and did the math. The Reds are averaging 17,800 tickets per game, which is actually 23rd in baseball. It's not all the way at the bottom. But the last time the Great American had no capacity limits was 2019 through 38 games. That was a last place team too. They averaged 21,500 fans per game. 500. That's what we say it down south. So 17.9% lower than attendance just 3 seasons ago. Last year, Independence Day weekend, the Reds had 3 home games. They drew nearly 36,000 fans per game. This year, 25,000. So it's the way I put it in my piece was Reds fans are kind of taking Castellini up on his challenge. Where are you going to go? Well, they found other places to go, whether it's FC Cincinnati, who averaged more per game than Cincinnati by about like 7,000 more per game.
That's the one that blows my mind. When FC Cincinnati, who barely exists, has more fans per game than the Cincinnati Reds on 4th of July Saturday or weekend.
Yeah, right. But they're actually playing fairly well this year. Imagine that. But the Bengals,
Reds had an 8-game homestand to start the month of June. So, the long-standing kids are still in school excuse was not there against the Nationals and the Phoenix Diamondbacks. They averaged 14,600 human beings in the ballpark for an 8-game series against the Nationals in June. That's brutal.
Serious question, though, that we don't have an answer to, but we can at least speculate. Well, what do we think that's doing inside the ownership suite? I mean, Bob's asleep. He doesn't know what's going on, but, how much heat is Phil getting? Because this a big part of this is on Phil. Not the whole thing. The whole thing is that they tore the stupid team down and they're garbage, but Phil poisoned the well early in the season, obviously. What do we think the mood is like in the Reds ownership and front office?
I wonder if they're even going to the games. I mean, I don't think there's anybody around them that would let them know how bad it is. So if they're not paying attention, if they're not
they see
on
the
Twitter,
numbers, though. They see the numbers. I mean, they get a report of how many people were there, how many hot dogs were sold, how many cotton candies had to be trashed. I mean, they've got to be really worried, I think. Especially because, I mean, unless things have changed a little bit for the other family businesses, because we've been told how much money they've lost and how dire their financial straits were. Thus, you couldn't afford a Sonny Gray. So if that was true, and I'm sure it was because they would never mislead us, I think they're probably pretty nervous. And I mean, joking aside, I think they are pretty nervous because they see this thing as circling the bowl right now.
They have to. I mean, they certainly have to. I mean, they're on pace right now to draw 1.4 million fans. Last time they drew that few was 1984, which is really the low point,
And there's no Yeah, that was only fixed by going and getting Pete Rose, the most famous and beloved player in the history of the franchise, and dragging him back out on the field and handing him the keys to the dugout. There's nothing they can do. That was going to be my question. What would you do if Phil Castellini says, I'm out? You're in charge, Chad. You're in charge, Nate. What do you guys do tomorrow?
Apparently, I'd bring back Pete Rose.
You know what? You'd fill the ballpark up. Sign that guy.
I mean, what could you do at this point? I mean, if you actually made a change, yeah, you could say, well, there's a new regime here. I traded a couple guys. I cut a couple guys. and you pull it off, or maybe you get a dead cat bounce. But what if you're Phil? If you are Phil, what could you do? Can't give out more bobbleheads. Can't give the tickets away for free.
My son got a Jeff Brantley bobblehead. He was like, "What is this?" He said, "You want this, Dad?" No, I don't want that. Sorry.
There's somebody on eBay that does.
Yeah, I like the cowboy, but come on. They got a Mario Soto bobblehead coming up here soon for those of us of my generation. What would you do? It's a good question. I mean, what I wonder about is if they trade Luis Castillo and or Tyler Malley, it's going to get even worse. I mean, that's probably your best argument for why they won't do it, because it's cratered so bad. What do you do if I'm Phil Castellini? Oh my gosh. I don't even like thinking about that, but I mean, what can you do other than say, all right, I'm hiring Theo Epstein, or, again, somebody, I'm hiring somebody that knows what they're doing. And we promise we are completely putting up a wall between ownership and the baseball operations. I'm going to give Theo or whoever carte blanche to do whatever it takes to turn this franchise around, and explain that to the fan base very clearly. That may be the only things that they could do that I can think of. Otherwise, why would we believe anything they say? We have evidence going back to 2006 as to how they're going to act.
There's no baseball move they can make that I'm going to believe is a good move, because they're the ones making it.
Right.
Like, I don't care what it is. We're going to sign Tyler Stevenson to a 14-year deal. I'm going to think there's some dumb reason they did it.
Or you're not going to trust they'll be able to put a team around him for the rest of that contract.
It's like they have such a deep hole. And again, the fan experience at the ballpark is still good, I think. Sure. So they can't fix that. Sure. They can't put more craft beer in the concession stand. That's already done. They've got no cards to play.
Really, Nate? What do you think? I mean, what can they do short of selling the team, Bob, as we've been requesting? But
I think you're right. It would be a full mea culpa. Say we're completely hands off. We all know that's not going to happen. So the only other thing that they could do is put a winner out on the field, because if the Reds are winning, people will start showing up. But that's only happened in 6 seasons since they've owned the club. Give or take.
Yeah.
6 winning records since like 98 or something. So I wouldn't hang my hat on them trotting out a winner sometime soon. Well, anybody that keeps saying, well, look to 2024, we're going to be good. Look at these guys. Where is the precedent? Where in the Reds past and Castellini's ownership can you look back and be like, okay, this is just like that, and then they were good.
Again, there's and right today, I mean, I guess in the off season they could spend $100 million on 3 or 4 free agents, top of the line.
Like Moustakas, baby.
Oh gosh, hey, come on! Not the best free agent signing in Reds history.
You guys are ruining my mojo here. You got me dragging me down to your level.
Yeah,
that guy is stout.
Yeah, yeah. There's really nothing they can do. That's so. What happens going forward? I don't anticipate anything happening. I don't see them doing anything. Frankly, they're going to stay the course, and I don't know. Hope we forget. I really don't know. Yeah. I don't see. I guess that's a question. Do we see ownership making like drastic changes as a response to this? Most sports franchises would. This is the bottom. They are bottoming out. And we have, there's no reason to expect they're going to be different. It's just it's such a weird, we're still talking about this team every week.
Where are you going to go is something they legitimately believe and have internalized. That wasn't a misstatement.
Yeah.
That's what they think. Okay. It's down to 1.4 million, but still 1.4 million for doing nothing.
Yeah. For being about as bad at your job as you can possibly be. They're like, 1 million people still came to see us. Look at that. It's kind of impressive, really.
They're celebrating. I love it. Oh man. Guys, I don't know. I wanted to talk about this piece that Mark Sheldon wrote.
Oh, is he still doing that stuff?
Yeah. He is.
Good for him.
These 7 Reds could be moved by the deadline, but I just don't want to do it. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to do that. If y'all want to, we can. But I'm going to request that we move on to viewer mail.
I don't want to talk about Mike Minor ever again.
Well, you may not have much longer, although Mike Minor pitched great today. He only gave up, 4 runs or something?
Good for him. Good job, Mike.
Really, you got to be happy for him. I mean, are we going to be upset?
The Reds are like one of those, youth teams where they're not real good. And so you get parents applauding like foul balls, good contact. And,
good eye.
A pop up, like a 10-foot in the air pop up to the pitcher that he catches, like, way to go, good play. That's how it feels right now.
That's the way my parents used to cheer at my games.
We just got to get India's elbow up.
Get your elbow up. Oh, Little League dads. Here's the 7 names. All right, the first 2 obviously are Castillo and Malley that could be traded by the trade deadline. The other 5, I want to ask if either of you will miss any of these guys if they're traded. Or if you'll even remember 3 years from now that these were Reds, okay? Mike Minor is one of them. His ERA of 7 is going to have a lot of value out there. Brandon Drury, probably a all-star, but he was signed to a minor league contract. Literally no team wanted him before the season. Tommy Pham, Kyle Farmer, Tyler Naquin. I mean, trade them all, and the team probably won't be any worse. I don't know. Who cares?
Watch Drury make the All-Star team, and then the Reds not trade him because he's their
because he's an All-Star,
and then he walks for nothing.
I hope they trade him after he's named an All-Star, so there is no red uniform in the game.
That almost happened one time. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
a Red was traded after being named. Do you remember who it was?
Was it Brett Boone?
It was not. The relief pitcher. Jeff Shaw.
Ooh.
Jeff Shaw traded the Dodgers. I think some Red was named after that, though. So there was a Red in the game. But
is Castillo a pitch in the All-Star game? I'm guessing he probably comes up Friday.
The All-Star game? When is the All-Star game? Is that next? That's 2 weeks, right?
Tuesday.
It can't be.
I thought it was the 12th. I don't know.
Somebody look that up. It's got to be the week after, right?
That puts it pretty late. Oh, you're right. June 19th. June 19th.
There we go.
July 19th.
Good. I'll be out of the country. Thank goodness. I want to watch that mess. Hey, viewer mail questions. We're going to answer some viewer mail questions because, man, there are some of these questions that aren't about the Reds, and so I'm eager to get to those particular questions. These questions come from our friends at patreon.com/riverfrontcincy. That's where you too can support the show and ask dumb questions. Patreon.com/riverfrontcincy. First question comes from Joe Farsing. Joe asks, what would be better, the current Reds bullpen or actual Bulls attempting to retire hitters? Joe, that's not your best work. I feel like you're getting dragged down by the season as well.
I'll always speak up for Farmers Night.
Oh,
actual cows.
Nate, do you know about Farmers Night?
I do not.
That was before your time.
In the Riverfront Stadium days, the Reds had a special night called Farmers Night, where agricultural professionals from all around Reds country were encouraged to come to the game, and there were various farming themed events, including a cow milking competition in the bullpens at Riverfront Stadium. I think I was there on a Farmers Night, and I saw Johnny Bench milking a cow.
Bring it back. Just don't start milking Mike Moustakas. We'll be good.
Oh no! Come on, Nate. Chris, you found out some good some timely information about Jeff Shaw.
Today's Jeff Shaw's birthday. 56 years young. Happy birthday, Jeff.
Jeff Shaw is 56 years old. I would have thought he was older.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a kid who's like about to have his career be done, right?
Yeah, really. His son is a veteran. He may not be playing anymore. He may be out of the league. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jerry Seduff asked this question: what billboard, social media campaign are you planning if the Reds package Luis Castillo in a salary dump trade, including Moustakas? Is that the final straw for your interest, if not loyalty? Jerry, I got to tell you, we have now been talking about the Cincinnati Reds for 45 minutes on a random Thursday in July, with the Reds on pace to have the worst record in the history of the franchise after just a garbage offseason, an embarrassment, one day after another, a new embarrassment. And yet we're still talking about them. At this point, I'm not going to predict that I'm ever going to be out on this team, and it makes me sad. I want to be out. This is not the way to build a podcast, Nate. I'm sorry, but I don't know. We're here. We're trying to. Most weeks we try to have fun. Not really here. Are you guys going to be out ever?
I won't be out. If that happens, I say we just do a live podcast, bust out a bottle of bourbon, and see if we can make this actually the world's most dangerous podcast.
I'm already pretty much out, guys. You listen to my familiarity with this team right now. I'm borderline not even a Reds fan anymore. So I get, in some ways I don't know that it makes much difference if they get rid of Castillo. For me, I'm already gone.
But Castillo's good.
Yeah, good. Good for him. Joins many people who used to be good on the Reds.
Oh, man. This is just, we've gone off the rails, Nate. I'm sorry.
This is tough.
Next question from Joey Gaditza. What are the chances of any current or past Reds joining us on a Zoom hangout? Now, I will say this. That has actually been one of the highlights of this season so far. As we started every once in a while doing a hangout with the Patreons. We'll get on Zoom. We'll just watch a part of a Reds game together and laugh. And those have actually been fun, haven't they, Nate?
Yeah, have a great time. We talk about it often. Misery does love company. And anybody that's willing to commit to watching these games at this point in the season, I mean, some shared trauma there. It's worth hanging out with. As far as major league players, I mean, we might be able to get Carlos from Late Night Reds Talk to come join us.
You could really just get some random guy and just say that he's Mike Papierski. Who's gonna know? Hey,
I'm gonna get
Just get the guy
Sean
that plays
Casey to come join us.
Get the guy that plays Tiger Woods and Donovan McNabb in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Come on.
I'll say that's Dimitri Young.
We'd like to welcome Art Warren to the podcast.
That's true. There's so many players from the last 5 years that no one would know if we just said it was. We just bring on a random guy. Bring my buddy Ken. Hey, this is I can't even think of now one of these obscure Reds, but I do have something to show you all though. Let me just pull this up here. Look at this. It's Farmer's Night.
Wow.
Barbara just went and found that and sent it to us. This is Farmer's Night. Now, who are these players?
I don't know.
They're going to be on next week's Zoom hangout. These two guys.
It's like 99, I'm thinking.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe Scott Sullivan.
That doesn't look.
What are those numbers? 53?
41 and 53. Yeah.
Oh, it's Tom Seaver.
Is that it's Tom Seaver? Now is that Marge Schott on? No, wait a minute. That's a cow.
Marge Schott is definitely in these pictures.
Oh, there's some young lady there behind whoever this player is. That's really enjoying herself. I don't know what. Anyway, there we go.
Farmer's Night's.
I'm sorry, I gotta get rid of that.
Popular event.
Farmer's Night was. I was never there for Farmer's Night, but they did it every single year. I mean, all the way back. You saw the pictures all the time. Every single year, Farmer's Night. Why don't they do something like that?
I believe number 41 is Ron Vallone.
Oh, I think you're right. That looked like Ron Vallone, I believe. The old lefty. Well, actually, I don't know. Yeah, it's probably Ron Vallone. Who's 53 that year?
Is he milking left-handed?
Probably.
Or it could be Chris Rietsma. Chris Rietsma also wore 51. And
No, it's 41.
Jim Brower was 53, but I have no idea.
No, I don't think that's Brower. I have an actual memory of Jim Brower.
That guy looks like a bat boy or a bullpen catcher or something.
I don't know. It's a very young Nick Kroll. No. Nate, you've learned about Farmers Night tonight, if nothing else, all right?
This has been pretty exciting.
You know what? If you're going to be garbage, bring back Farmers Night. You know, I was there one year. They used to, before the game, they did it every year, but they would have a game, like a father-son/daughter game before the game. And I saw Deion Sanders' son speed down the first baseline faster than I could have run, and he was like 5 years old. You know, bring back stuff like that. You know, bring back Billy Bates and let him race against an aged cheetah. You know,
I just think that you try to do Farmers Night, PETA is going to be up in arms for cruelty to animals, making them watch the Reds. You just can't do it.
See, they can do Farmers Night now, though.
I'm just looking at these. I'm just looking at a headline here. In 1979, Farmers Night was standing room only.
Well, the Reds were first place in 1979. They won the division that year.
They were playing the Cubs, and it was standing room only.
They'd have Farmers Night now, and they would just retire Kyle Farmer's jersey number. It'd be 2022 Farmers Night.
While he's still playing, I love it.
Yeah. All right. Thomas Dennis. Thomas is our old buddy out in Montana. Thomas says, I know the viewers are incredibly anxious to hear Billings Mustangs updates from one of the old farm team. Did you know that Jim Riggleman is managing in Billings? I wonder how long after he took the job he found out they're not actually in the Reds farm system anymore. And then is the current Reds coaching staff underrated, overrated, or exactly rated? So anyway, good. Thanks for the Jim Riggleman update. I know we were all wondering where Jim Riggleman was these days. Maybe he's one of the 10 worst Reds managers of the last 10 years, including all the rest. Let me ask, before I get to the second part of the question, I want to ask Chris a question, because Chris and I whined about this a good bit. Would you have thought back in 2013 that we would be nearly a decade later and be sort of pining for the days of Dusty Baker and realizing that he's by far the best Reds manager, I don't know, since Lou or since Davey Johnson probably?
Yeah, it's interesting. And then I mean, at the time Dusty left, I had gotten to the point where I didn't think Dusty was bad. I didn't think Dusty was the reason the team was bad. Right. I just kind of felt like he'd kind of run his course in Cincinnati and they needed a different person. But so I had kind of come around on him a little bit, but obviously now, I mean, I don't know that he makes this team any better, but.
No, but have they had a manager since that was better than? I mean, I know you're a big time, as the kids would say, big Brian Price stan.
Yeah, big on Brian Price.
I don't know. Anyway, the Reds coaching staff, is it underrated, overrated, or exactly rated? I mean, it's rated. I mean, I think Derek Johnson's good. The rest of them, I think Derek Johnson's good. The rest of them, I don't know. Nate, what do you think?
I don't think anybody rates them at all.
Who cares?
Nobody's even talking about it.
You know what's funny about Derek Johnson? They hired him away from Milwaukee, right?
They did.
And that was the idea. Hey, we got this guy. He's made Milwaukee's pitchers, all these great pitchers up there. Now we're going to have – Milwaukee still has great pitchers. They still just turn over rocks and get, like, great pitchers every year. So I don't know if Derek Johnson was the reason they were doing that or not.
Well, I don't know. He seems to have a good reputation. What I was going to say is that it kind of maybe it's something like the old Jim Bowden, Don Gullett days. Don Gullett had a great reputation, supposedly, of turning around guys, and so Jim Bowden would go out and look under every rock and sign the Pete Shuricks of the world and hope that Don Gullett could turn them around. And we're going back a little ways for some of you kids, but whereas you know what Milwaukee does have? A competent front office. They don't spend more money than the Reds, but they have a competent front office. So maybe that's the key, rather than just having a magical pitching coach that can turn Pete Shurik into a princess. Nate, when we get finished,
I was having a good day today. Well,
we
it's
get
podcast day. Let's hang out with your brother. Haven't seen Chris Garber in a while. It's gonna be a blast. Don't pour a drink because you won't need it. It's fun.
Oh, I know. I feel guilty because we do try to have fun every week, and this week, I don't know, it kind of boiled over. Kyle Kapler asks this again. This is at patreon.com/riverfrontcincy. Out of the 3 young starting pitchers, I presume he means Mike Minor and who else? Out of the 3 young starting pitchers, obviously Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Graham Ashcraft, who is the best at throwing the speedball by you? Longtime listeners of the show will know that that Kyle's mocking me at this point for my anti-Bruce Springsteen stance. It's Hunter Green, obviously, right?
He can let it go. Make it look like a fool.
I wish it went by them more than it went over the fence.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, it's gotta be Hunter.
Yeah. We love. Although I tell you, again, Nick Lodolo the other night, he wasn't throwing the speedball by him necessarily, but man, he was. I don't know if it's slop or what it was, but his slider. I guess it was a slider. My goodness, I mean, he was making some people look silly. So I'm excited to watch him going forward. Hooper Powell. No, Clay Christian first. Nate's buddy Clay Christian. I know Joseph Daniel Votto is number 1 in our hearts, but where does he rank on the list of best MLB first baseman of all time? Let me ask you this question, because I did a little bit of research for the first time in the history, all 432 episodes of this show. I did a little bit of research. Where would you guys guess, if you're looking at every first baseman in the history of Major League Baseball, and we're going to cut it off at they played 70% of their games at first base. Any player that played 70% of the games at first base in overall career wins above replacement, where would you put Joey Votto? Where do you think he ranks in baseball history?
So wins above replacement is a counting stat.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Is
that your final answer? 33rd. Chris says 33rd. Nate, what do you say?
I would have said top 20, top 25, maybe.
I think I would have
But
said
just
25.
Complete guess.
Yeah, that would have been my guess, 25 or so. The correct answer is, of all first basemen in history, and when we're calling first baseman, those who played at least 70% of their career games at first base, Joey Votto is number 10, tied for 10th of all time. Tied with Willie McCovey. Wow. Yeah. Here are the ones ahead of him. Number 9. It really is. It blew my mind. Number 9, Eddie Murray. And Joey Votto could catch him at some point. Number 8, Johnny Mize. Number 7, I didn't see this one coming, Rafael Palmeiro. Number 6, Dan Brothers, 1879 to 1904. So if we're just post 1900, actually, Joey Votto moves up to 7th, by the way. Number 5, Jeff Bagwell. Number 4, someone named Roger Connor. Number 3, Jimmy Fox. Number 2, Cap Anson. And number 1, Lou Gehrig. And Lou Gehrig far and above anyone else. So if we're just talking post-1900, maybe I should have done that. Joey Votto, number 7 in career WAR for first baseman. I don't know. That's something.
Wow. That's amazing.
It really surprised me. I can't believe it.
I mean, I guess there's probably guys who you think of as first baseman who, like, what about Albert Pujols? Is he just didn't play enough games there?
I don't know. He must not have played 70. Maybe because of the time with the Angels, he played enough at DH that he didn't qualify. Maybe. Yeah. You'd think Pujols would be there because he certainly has more. I don't know. I just did a quick search. And so Joey Votto's the 7th best first baseman of all time, Clay. That's the correct answer.
Boom.
He's no Pete Rose, though. Hooper Powell. Hooper, listen, you know we love you, man, but you're asking us to talk about the rest of the season with the Reds, and it's really, we don't have it. You discovered we don't want to do that. With the trade deadline looming and possible trades of Malley, Castillo, and how dare you? Resurgent Mike Minor. Don't you suggest Mike Minor might get traded? He's just coming into his own. And with the innings limitations,
he's resurgent. He's surged. He's plenty surgent.
He's surgent.
Never not surgent.
He's unsurgent. I don't know. Also, with the what you would presume will be innings limitations for Green, Ashcraft, and Lodolo, who will be eating up innings? I mean, I think the answer to that question is who cares?
Ron Vallone.
If we're trying to lose 115 games, who cares? Neither of you.
Jeffrey Hoffman.
Tonight's starting pitcher, Jeffrey Hoffman. Where are we right now? Actually, the game started. How's Jeffrey Hoffman doing?
Did it start already? Oh, it's
I think so.
0-0 top of the first.
So,
what about John Moscott? Is he available?
I bet Pete Shirk's still available. So,
John.
Hey, this is a family podcast, Chris. I pray, I've had a lot of exciting times in my life. I've had, married, 2 kids, I've had great days in my life. Successes professionally, things like that. But I think the happiest day of my life was the day that John Koutlangas followed me on Twitter. John Koutlangas. I remember Colonel Angus from Saturday Night Live. Colonel Angus?
Yeah.
No? That old carpetbagger? Oh, gosh. We have really gone off the rails. All right, Rich Thompson. Yeah, 2 more questions that we got to get out. Rich Thompson. I'm wrapping up a multi-day cycling adventure in Vermont where I've covered close to 150 miles and have climbed over 6,000 feet in elevation.
Dang.
Definitely one of the more challenging. Sorry, I had to gear myself up. Rich asks long questions. Definitely one of the more challenging things I've done both physically and mentally at this point in my life. However, I still feel that standing in the box against a pitcher that throws 90+ miles an hour and getting a hit off him is equally challenging, if not harder. So in your opinion, which is harder? Successfully hitting a 90+ mile per hour fastball or biking multiple days in the mountains at high altitude? Rich, I can't do either. So they're both impossible. That's my answer. They're both equally impossible.
I'm going with cycling, Rich. I did a overnight cycling trip once in my life, and I swore I would never get on a bicycle again.
I bought a bicycle. I bought a bike a few years ago. Thought I was going to do this, but by the way, I have a bike in my garage. If anyone wants to purchase it,
Wear
you big biker, Chris?
Shorts.
Chris, you big biker?
I'm not a big. I've got a bicycle, but where I live, I'm not one of those guys who's going to ride it out on a real road with like cars buzzing past and stuffed into a tight shirt. So I don't really ride it much. I got to put the bike on the back of the car to take it somewhere to ride it around. So I want to get a.
That's what kind of the spandex or whatever. Yeah, that's why I couldn't do it. I don't. No one needs to see that.
I'm all about the outfit. I just didn't get the bike. I just walk around town, gloves, short little biker shorts, tight shirt.
Do they still have the hats? Do they still have the little painter's caps with the little flipped up?
Oh, I don't know.
Little Mars Blackman.
Let us know next week, Rich.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know. One last question before we do that. I have to mention this before I forget because I will forget in the next 2 minutes. Chris, you met some royalty last week, did you not?
I did.
You didn't meet royalty, but you were in the presence of royalty.
I waved. I was a visitor at the Dollywood theme park in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And we were fortunate enough that Dolly herself made an appearance at the park that day. Apparently only happens once or twice a year. But she was paraded through the park, and all of us lined the streets and made signs and had fans that said, "I love Dolly," that we waved. She's something else, but she looks just like on the TV. Just a little lady.
She's a national treasure.
She's something. That's a great place to go. If you like roller coasters, you like theme parks, you like any kind of thing like that, I highly recommend it.
Super underrated.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of a punchline, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, Sevierville, wherever. But that's a really, it is an underrated park and I do like roller coasters.
Turkey legs bigger than your head, man.
They do.
Did you get a turkey leg, Chris?
I didn't, but I saw some kid gnawing on one.
The whole family gnawing on that bad boy.
This kid was not going to let anybody else get between him and his turkey leg. He was going to town on it.
Now, Chris, you sent me a picture of Dolly, and then you noted that after you saw Dolly, you were going out searching for wood. Did you find some wood?
That's right. Well, I was confused as to. I thought there was a partnership between Dolly and someone else running the place.
Oh, man,
good dad joke though.
Yeah, that was a great one. I loved it. Phrasing. All right, last question from Charlie Browning. Nothing to do with the Reds baseball. So thank you, Charlie. What are your thoughts on where you'd like to see Virginia end up in all this college expansion? As a Kentucky fan / alum, I'd like to see UVA and UNC join us in the Southeast. It's a lot of upheaval in college sports recently with some of those teams from out west deciding they're going to join the whatever that conference is, and now every conference is going to end up being two conferences: the BIG and the SEC. They're going to be two 30-team conferences. It's going to be like. So anyway, there was some news today that North Carolina and Virginia, my alma mater, the University of Virginia, in talks with the Southeastern Conference. And here's what conference I want Virginia to be in: the old 9-team ACC, where they were when I was in school there. Bring Maryland back. Get rid of Virginia Tech and Miami.
Get rid of Florida State.
Oh, get rid of all those. Boston College, Pitt. That's what I want, but it's not going to happen. The ACC's done. Virginia's going to be somewhere else. And I'm, to the extent that I care about college sports anymore, I wish it weren't going to happen, but I don't know. Who cares anymore? They're all getting paid. And I don't mind them getting paid. They deserve to get paid, but it's not what it was growing up. I don't know. I miss the days when, I don't know. It's maybe raging at clouds, I guess, but I don't know. The college game these days is not that interesting. Not as interesting as it used to be. Guys, go ahead.
Nope. Couldn't care less.
I don't care where they go.
Where do you want the Ohio University to go?
Buddy, they're in the best place they could be. There's no place better than the Mid-American Conference. Maction is where it's at.
Maybe that's where Virginia
UVA's welcome to join. If they think they can hang with Bowling Green and Kent, they're welcome.
UVA's baseball team could have joined the NL Central this season and done a better job than the Reds.
Yeah, fair enough.
Thanks for bringing it back to the Reds. But I will ask Chris, what happened the last time Virginia played Ohio in basketball? Do you remember that game?
I do remember that game, and the Bobcats were triumphant.
They were. Hey, Luis Castillo's good.
Hey.
Joey Votto is a top 10 first baseman of all time.
Graham Ashcraft got a haircut. Big things happening in Cincinnati.
Oh, Chris, do you have any final thoughts?
I'm done.
Chris is retiring from
every
Reds
way.
fandom.
Yeah. I've added a lot of value here. I'm thinking my work is done.
Nate, final thoughts?
Don't let all of these smiles and laughs fool you. I am tortured inside. That was brutal. Just kidding. No, it's always fun talking to you guys. And, we got to stick together. That's kind of all we have. And the march for 102 losses is on in full effect. We can do it. Just rally together. Lead this team to an epic number of losses. Let's go.
Oh, let's do this. Nate, I'm sorry that Chris and I dragged you down a little bit. That I take full responsibility for that. But this is the Riverfront episode number 452. You can find us wherever you get your audio podcasts. We've always been there for all 432 episodes. Go to your podcast app, iTunes, wherever you get Apple Podcasts. We're there. Search for the Riverfront. We'll be there. Always going to be free every Friday morning. That's released out to you. We're also now on YouTube, youtube.com/riverfrontcincy. Go smash that subscribe button, whatever, if you want to. The thing you really need to do is go to patreon.com/riverfrontcincy because we actually are having a really good time there. Slack channel, the Zoom Hangouts. And then, of course, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those places. Guys, this was actually fun. Good hanging out with you guys again. I don't know what else to say. Go Reds. For Chris Garber, for Nate Dotson, and for some guy that was in a picture milking a cow, this is Chad Dotson saying, so long, everyone.